Hello, my name is Jess, and today I'm going to be talking about the books I read in February. So the first book I finished in February, I actually started in January, I just finished it in February, and that was Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I really liked it. It is about how do I explain this plot? Basically, it's about two families, very different families, in this very upper middle class neighborhood. It's supposed to be like the original like planned community suburb type thing, if that gives you an idea. And so there's this family, they have 4 kids who are all like teenagers, like they're like 1 year apart in high school. And then they get 2 new tenants, which is a single mother and her daughter. And the daughter bonds with the kids in the other family, but the moms do not get along. And then while they're like integrating themselves into this community, there's a huge debate in the community about the adoption of this Chinese baby, and basically the town is like kind of split on 2 different sides of who should be able to adopt or be able to keep the baby. So the 2 mothers get involved and it's a whole thing, but I really liked it. I'm a sucker for family drama, so I thought this was super interesting. I think I liked it better than Everything I Never Told You, which is another Celeste Ng book, but you can totally tell she loves these themes because it's very similar in the way that like no one in this family goddamn communicates, and like all of the issues happen because people don't talk to each other. And but when I watched the TV show, I think I liked it better than the book. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Reese Witherspoon's in it, Kerry Washington, and Joshua Jackson. And I just absolutely loved it, and they deal with a lot of issues in it. It's set in the 90s. There's issues of race and feminism and adoption and motherhood and abortion, etc. But what I liked about the show is that they made the other family, the single mother and her daughter, Black, and that is different than in the books, and so I think that added just a whole nother layer to everything that was going on, and I really liked how that like factored into like the plots and the character dynamics. Characters were also way more fleshed out in the show, which makes sense. But what I found really interesting is that the people I liked in the book and the people I didn't like completely swapped in the show. It was the absolute craziest thing. Like my least favorite characters in the book became like my most favorite characters in the show, and vice versa. And I just don't know how that happened because they didn't change that much, but I guess it's different when like you're actually seeing people, and they did change a few things and fleshed more things out because they did have more time. But yeah, I found that interesting. Okay, now to the books I started and finished in February. The first one was Stellas Stellar Hair by Yesenia Moises. This is just the cutest picture book story about this girl named Stella, who's this young Black girl, and she takes a magic trip throughout the solar system, meeting up with her different aunts on their different planets, and basically like trying new hairdos and seeing, because she can't figure out the hair she wants for that day for school. And it is just, oh my god, the art is beautiful. I love how they tie in all like the solar system stuff and the space stuff. It is just the sweetest serotonin boosting book. I really liked at the end of it how like sort of after, like an afterword type of thing, where the author shows you a summary of the different planets / ants and the hairstyle they chose for Stella, and it basically explains how like the atmosphere of that planet or like the climate, why the author would think that like that is a hairstyle they would have on that planet. And I thought that was so awesome. It was such a sweet book and I loved it. Okay, the next book I read was Dear Justyce by Nick Stone. I read Dear Martin, which was the first book, I think 2 years ago maybe, when it came out. But this is like a sequel / companion novel to Dear Martin. So Dear Martin was about this Black teenager named Justyce who is Black, but he goes to a predominantly white prep school, but he lives in a primarily Black neighborhood. And one day, one of his best friends is shot and killed by a cop who is driving by them and gets like road rage. So basically Justyce, after this happens, is trying to like process this trauma that he's been through, and so he writes these letters to Martin Luther King, basically like explaining what is going on, and that's his way of sort of reaching out and trying to grapple with what happened to him. And so in Dear Justyce, this boy named Quan, who knows Justyce from childhood, is now writing letters to Justyce from prison because he has been accused of a crime. I'm not going to tell you if he committed it or not, but basically he's been accused of murder. He's awaiting trial. The book is basically like a series of flashbacks in the form of letters, in the form of these snapshots that Quan is remembering about his life. It is just absolutely heartbreaking, just as Dear Martin was. What I really, really liked about this book, books like Dear Martin, the first one, and books like The Hate U Give, they're very much centered on these characters who have foots in both worlds. Like, they are black and they live in a black neighborhood, but they go to a predominantly white school. The Hate U Give and Dear Martin are very, very similar. But Dear Justyce is really about a boy who didn't go to these prep schools like these other characters, who didn't experience that side of things, and who has just been stuck in his mind, like stuck in this cycle of disenfranchisement. And so it is not meant to like compare his struggle to like Justyce, but it's just to show a different experience, because that's basically the question he is asking through these letters is, Justyce and I grew up in basically the same area. We both had issues with our dads and with our moms. Why did he find such success and go off to this school and go off to Yale, and I'm in prison? And that's basically what he's trying to grapple with. And I just thought that was like an amazing question for this book to center on. I loved Quan as a character. He was fantastic. The next book I read was Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson. This book, oh my god, it was so depressing and so heartbreaking and frustrating and, oh my god, infuriating. This is just like, not a memoir, but it's nonfiction by this man named Bryan Stevenson, who founded the Equal Justice Initiative. So he's a lawyer, and basically this discusses his career as a young lawyer trying to help people on death row who are predominantly black and poor, but there are definitely other cases he discusses. Oh my god, I just don't even know where to begin with this. Read it. Everyone should read it. It is so good. I'm putting heavy trigger warnings in the description because it's very, very intense. But yeah, I learned a lot more about the criminal justice system and how insanely flawed it is, and how much of a broken system, which we've been knew. But this gave me more of like actual concrete examples I can point to. What I do recommend is, if you are planning to read this book, it is definitely helpful to have like a basic knowledge of the criminal justice system and law, like legal terms. I think that'll definitely help with your understanding of a lot of things and help you get the most out of the book that you can. But he is a phenomenal writer. It's really like not about him. I wouldn't call this a memoir, because the parts about him are so minuscule. You see him just through all of his work, and he's just a superhero. He is like, if I ever thought of like an actual like superhero in modern day, it is this man. Like, he did it all, and he did it phenomenally, and I just don't know how he possibly did this, but I learned a lot. I cried at the end. It was phenomenal, but once again, extremely intense and could be very, very triggering, so I'm putting those warnings in the description. Please read those. And finally, the last book I finished in February was You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. This is a YA contemporary. It's about a girl named Liz. She lives in this town that is predominantly upper middle class, predominantly white, and she just feels like she does not fit in. She is very tall, especially for a girl. She is queer, and she is black, and she is economically disadvantaged. And so she feels very isolated. Her ticket out of this town is to go to this prestigious university in Indiana, where she wants to study to be a doctor, and it's a music program that she wants to be in because she's a clarinetist. Clarinet player? I don't know. She's really into music. Unfortunately, her financial aid falls through, and in order to get the money, she runs for prom queen, because in this town, prom is the biggest thing in the world, and it comes with a scholarship. And so she puts herself out there and runs for prom queen. I liked it. It was funny. It was sweet. I liked the characters for the most part. I'm obsessed with the whole prom queen-esque theme. There was something that was not in my high school at all. We had prom queen, but like it was not a thing, how it's like shown in other media. But I just love reading about it. I love seeing it in movies. How I would describe this book is like a mix of like Dumplin', if you've read Dumplin', like with the whole pageant and this being like a huge thing in the town, And then like that one episode of Dawson's Creek where Joey wants a scholarship, so she like debases herself by entering this beauty pageant. And if you like put those together but like sprinkled like more realness and like a black queer character, there you have it. It played out almost exactly like a coming of age rom-com you'd see ever. She's got the group of friends that are all quirky and have their own little things. You've got a dead parent. You've got just like the whole popular kids versus not popular kids thing. You have a cartoonishly evil villain type girl, popular girl. Even like the whole thing with like the best friend fight and the whole ending standoff with the villain was like just straight out of a 2000s movie, like issue by issue, scene by scene. Like it was very, very standard. And so for that reason, everything plays out extremely predictable in my opinion. And I love those movies. They're my favorite things in the world. So like it was super comforting of a read, but nothing was surprising to me. Everything was very predictable and very formulaic in my opinion. But I don't know the author's intent, but I can imagine that this was sort of on purpose because it shows that you can have this romantic comedy or have this coming of age story with a black protagonist who is queer and have this queer romance, and it still has all of the charm and amazing, and it hits even different levels of other romantic comedy books. And so for that reason, like, I understand why it was formulaic in that way, if that was the author's intention, even if it was subconscious. It should not be new. This should not be a new concept in YA or in any type of rom-com, but unfortunately that is where we are. And so it was very refreshing and very exciting to see this type of character as a main lead in this coming of age story. Okay, one more thing about the main character and the coming of age thing is that she was so much like a coming of age character in the fact that she was not like other girls. And like, I get that that is like a huge part of the story because like you can see me editing in my glasses, but is that she's supposed to not be like the other people in the town, but it could have been that, but instead the author added the other I'm not like other girl tropes, and that like she doesn't listen to certain kinds of pop music, and like she doesn't care about makeup or like know about clothes and stuff like that. And I just felt like that was a little unnecessary, but it definitely played into that coming of age protagonist thingy. So the female romance was absolutely adorable. By typical me fashion, I liked the side characters a lot more. Not a lot more, just wish I would have seen more from them. I loved Jordan so much, so I liked the time he got, but I would love to hear more about like Britt and Quinn. All I want in life, I'm gonna email Leah Johnson, all I want in life is a sequel companion with Britt and a Quinn romance. All I want is the rugby player, cheerleader, female romance. Is that too much to ask? Like, they didn't interact a single time in this entire book, and yet I want them together. I thought the best friend Gabby was kind of annoying, but I understood her motivations for the most part. I really liked the discussion of sickle cell. I learned a lot about that, and it definitely added a strong emotional layer to already strong emotional layers. But yeah, I really like it, and I'm probably going to read Leah Johnson's next book. And that was all of the books that I read in February. Spring is coming. I'm very excited. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you want. Thanks. Bye.